Today we're unboxing something from the Cubicle, and this has been in transit for like 2 weeks thanks to the Postal Service losing it. So I'm very excited to dig into this. Let's start with the smallest stuff first, and that would be the little custom cube head sticker that I got for using code CubeHead. Next up, let's dive into the Rubik Speed Cube. I've heard pretty good things about this. I think it's based on the design that they used with Gone last year, or in previous years, and this one has magnets in it, so it's supposed to be a little bit better, and we will find out in a minute if I can get the box open. It's really fighting with me here. Okay, so here is the Rubik Speed Cube. This is a 56mm puzzle, and it looks like that is all that comes in this box. There's no extra springs, there's no custom magnets, there's not even promotional material, it's just the cube. So pretty bare bones packaging, but I like the colors that are on it. Okay, let's dig into this. It looks like they're using the pretty classic Rubik's Half Bright color palette, and I think that it's just a screw tension system underneath here, but these caps are on there pretty well. Even though there are indents on the side, it's a little hard to pry them out, so I think I'll probably do that in a second. But let's try out some first moves. And corner cutting is leaving a little to be desired. I'll probably have to loosen some of these tensions, but some of that probably just comes down to the fact that this is a ball core versus the more kind of stem core design that most people are using. And I messed up the cube trying to do sexy moves back to back. One of the corners didn't turn on me, and I guess I messed it all up. So give me a second here to just figure out this solve so that I can put it back into the normal state. And it's turning pretty smoothly. I like it, but the magnet strength is a little soft compared to what I usually like. Turning speed is really nice, actually. It feels good, like it feels like a pretty nice standard speed cube, but let's pry it open and see what that tension system looks like. And I'm just going to use a small flathead screwdriver to get underneath that cap. And yeah, it's just a screw. So it's just a normal Phillips head screw, but it's kind of a small Phillips screw. So you probably won't just be able to dig into your parents' toolkit and tension that. You'll need to have a screwdriver that's a little smaller. I'm really struggling with some of these turns. Yeah, as you can see, it really does not want to corner cut. So I'll do a few solves on this later, but for now, let's jump ahead and get into the other item that came with this that I'm really excited about. It's the QiYi Magnetic Clock. I have never solved a clock in my life, but I have been watching the JPerm tutorials on how to, and I'm pretty excited to try it out. It seems pretty easy, one of the easier puzzles, kind of like Pyraminx. Awesome. It looks really nice. The black and white color scheme is so much cooler looking than the light blue and dark blue. So I'm glad to see not just a speed cube manufacturer be making this, but also to be putting it in a cooler, more modern color palette. The standard cards, someone using it, some close-ups of the, well, it's not a cube, of the clock, and obviously the instruction booklet, which I flipped through. Nice little stand that comes with it and matches, holds it up nice. And these are going to be some of the first clicks and turns. It's very clicky. The magnets are very nice. It just snaps right into each of the positions, and those pins just pop in and out, or up and down, I guess, just very easily. Like I said, I've never used another clock in my life, so this is the only one that I have experience with, but it feels great. Fits in the hand well. It looks really nice. There's a lot of small detail on it around the clock faces that kind of has a texture. The 12 o'clock has that red kind of delineation on it so that you know when you're holding it up or down. Otherwise, there's no logos all over it or anything. It's just very nice and minimal, and I really dig it. So let's get into some solves. As you can see, it jumped to night, and I started with the Rubik Speed Cube. I tried a few solves with it earlier in the day, And again, I was having a lot of problems with the tensioning just being a little too tight as it comes in the box. And so I popped off all of the middle pieces and loosened it just a little bit. It seems like that helped a little with some of those corner cutting, but you really have to be pretty precise in your turns. Otherwise it just locks up pretty hard. And I'm really missing some of the stronger strength magnets on this. I guess I've gotten used to those quite a bit on like the Rubik's Connected and Go Cube, and even some of the other cubes that I have. They just have a little bit of a stronger magnetic pull. I don't know if it's using the same strength magnets, but the plastic is just thicker with this, and so it has less of a ability to grab and stick it. But my times are quite a bit slower than my average. Maybe that part of that is due to the gloves that I was wearing, so I take those off here and do see a little bit of a speed improvement just from that one small change. But I'm really struggling to kind of find a flow with this cube. It turns nicely until it just locks. It seems like as long as I'm turning somewhat slow, or what feels like just a little slow for me, which again, I'm not fast yet anyway, but it feels like if I'm turning safely, it feels really nice, it's smooth, it just spins and turns and clicks into place. But when I start to try to speed up to get better times, I really run into a lot of those lockups. So what I found myself doing towards the end of this second set was I was kind of using my other hand or other fingers to stop the turn that I just initiated. So instead of just flipping aside, I was kind of bracing to stop it where I wanted it as well, which again, it takes just a little getting used to. I was going to just do 2 sets on CompSim, which is the app I'm using, where you kind of get 5 solves at a time, and that's where the average of 5 is being added from in the solve stats area. But I decided to do a third because I did see in the second set my times were getting a little bit better. And I think in this third set that I did right now, I get the best times and the best average overall. So, as I said, you can definitely get used to this cube. It takes a little bit, but it's not a bad cube by any means. If I had to rate the Rubik's brand currently, I would say the Rubik's Connected is definitely a little better, but I like the tile design of this a lot versus the stickers, and it feels just a little bit more like a standard cube. So that ball design really feels a little less optimized for speed solving. And now we'll jump over to the clock. I did do a few solves on this before I jumped into recording, just to get down the notation and how to scramble and to get down the process of doing this. And I found that it was very enjoyable. I have a lot of fun with it. So if you're unaware, I mean, clock is not a super popular event. And I think part of that is due to the hardware, but some of it is also, it's not a great spectator event as this footage is showing. It's hard to see what I'm doing at any one time from this angle, which at a comp or an event, you wouldn't be able to see what the person's seeing. You're kind of seeing it from the side or the angles that this camera is. And so it's just not a great spectator event, I don't think. But if you're looking at this and wondering kind of how you're solving it, you do a cross on the white side with the dark faces first, and then you flip it over, you do a cross on the other side as well, and then you solve the corner ones one at a time, and that should fix the rest of both sides. And that's pretty much it. So it's not a super hard puzzle to figure out, but there definitely is a lot to learn in terms of what look ahead looks like. So as you're freezing one piece to get a solve going, other things are turning, and so you have to remember, if I'm turning this clock faces, by 3 hours or 4 hours, the next one that I want to solve is going to be 3 or 4 hours off from what I just saw it at. So I think that initial inspection time is pretty important here, where you find out which order you're going to do it in and kind of work clockwise or counterclockwise from there. So you start with one side and then you can just easily kind of go around it. At least that's what I'm doing currently. Again, I'm a total beginner at this, but my times were getting increasingly better as I practiced. You're seeing some of the very first solves in a row that I'm trying, And as I went, my time was dropping from, you know, around a minute down to, I think the best time I just got was 37 seconds. But my average, I think, in the second set was somewhere in the 40s, which I'm going to consider is pretty good for a new event that I have had no exposure to before. And I would say if you're looking to try a new twisty puzzle and you haven't messed with a clock, or you haven't tried a recent new clock, I would definitely get this. It's about 30 bucks, which is not cheap. Most of the other clocks are around 10, but it feels great. Everything clicks really nicely. The gears turn super smoothly. It feels deluxe in your hand. It's really just a nice puzzle, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. If you're wondering, the puzzle does not have a red light on it of any sort. That's my GoPro kind of blinking at it and it reflecting it, so there's no lights in the puzzle, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm hoping that other speed cube manufacturers get into making some cool clocks, because this was a lot of fun. I'd like to see the event taken a little bit more seriously sometime in the future. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to see more content from me in the future. Thanks, and have a great weekend.